This series is going to cover what some of the most prominent AI engineers in the world are saying on X about AI each day. Now, Andrej Karpathy was a founding member of OpenAI. He was previously the director of AI at Tesla, and right now he's building Eureka Labs. And he shares a few random notes from his Claude coding over the last few weeks. Coding workflow. Given the latest lift in large language model coding capability, like many others, I rapidly went from about 80% manual plus autocomplete coding and 20% agents in November to 80% agent coding and 20% edits and touch-ups in December. Also, I really am mostly programming in English now, a bit sheepishly telling the large language model what code to write in words. It hurts the ego a bit, but the power to operate over software in large code actions is just too net useful, especially once you adapt to it, configure it, learn to use it, and wrap your head around what it can and cannot do. This is easily the biggest challenge to my basic coding workflow in 2 decades of programming, and it happened over the course of a few weeks. I'd expect something similar to be happening to well into double-digit % of engineers out there, while the awareness of it in the general population feels well into low single-digit %. Integrated development environments, agent swarms, fallibility, both the no need for integrated development environments anymore hype and the agent swarm hype is in my opinion too much for right now. The models definitely still make mistakes, and if you have any code you actually care about, I would watch them like a hawk in a nice large integrated development environment on the side. The mistakes have changed a lot, and they are not simple syntax errors anymore. They are subtle conceptual errors that are slightly sloppy, something a hasty junior developer might do. The most common category is that the models make wrong assumptions on your behalf and just run along with them without checking. They also don't manage their confusion. They don't seek clarifications. They don't surface inconsistencies. They don't present trade-offs. They don't push back when they should, and they are still a little too sycophantic. Things get better in plan mode, but there's some need for a lightweight inline plan mode. They also really like to overcomplicate code and APIs. They bloat abstractions. They don't clean up dead code after themselves, etc. They will implement an inefficient, bloated, brittle construction over 1,000 lines of code, and it's up to you to be like, couldn't you just do this instead? And they will be like, of course, and immediately cut it down to 100 lines. They still sometimes change and remove comments in code they don't like or don't sufficiently understand as side effects, even if it is orthogonal to the task at hand. All of this happens despite a few simple attempts to fix it via instructions in Claude. Despite all these issues, it is still a net huge improvement, and it's very difficult to imagine going back to manual coding. Too long, didn't read, everyone has their developing flow. My current is a small few carbon copy sessions on the left in ghosty windows and tabs, and an integrated development environment on the right for viewing the code and manual edits. Tenacity. It's so interesting to watch an agent relentlessly work at something. They never get tired, they never get demoralized, they just keep going and trying things where a person would have given up long ago to fight another day. It's a feel the AGI moment to watch it struggle with something for a long time just to come out victorious 30 minutes later. You realize that stamina is a core bottleneck to work, and that with large language models in hand, it has been dramatically increased. Speed-ups. It's not clear how to measure the speed-up of the large language model assistance. Certainly I feel net way faster at what I was going to do, but the main effect is that I do a lot more than I was going to do because 1, I can code up all kinds of things that just wouldn't have been worth coding before, and 2, I can approach code that I couldn't work on before because of knowledge and skill issue. So certainly it's speed-up, but it's possibly a lot more an expansion. Leverage. Large language models are exceptionally good at looping until they meet specific goals, and this is where most of the feel the AGI magic is to be found. Don't tell it what to do, give it success criteria and watch it go. Get it to write tests first and then pass them. Put it in the loop with a browser model context protocol. Write the naive algorithm that is very likely correct first, then ask it to optimize it while preserving correctness. Change your approach from imperative to declarative to get the agents looping longer and gain leverage. Fun. I didn't anticipate that with agents programming, it feels more fun because a lot of the fill-in-the-blanks drudgery is removed and what remains is the creative part. I also feel less blocked and stuck, which is not fun, and I experience a lot more courage because there's almost always a way to work hand in hand with it to make some positive progress. I've seen the opposite sentiment from other people too. Large language model coding will split up engineers based on those who primarily liked coding and those who primarily liked building. Atrophy. I've already noticed that I am slowly starting to atrophy my ability to write code manually. Generation writing code and discrimination reading code are different capabilities in the brain, largely due to all the little, mostly syntactic details involved in programming. You can review code just fine even if you struggle to write it. Slopocalypse. I'm bracing for 2026 as the year of the Slopocalypse across all of GitHub, Substack, X, and Instagram, and generally all digital media. We're also going to see a lot more AI hype productivity theater on the side of actual real improvements. A few of the questions on my mind. What happens to the 10x engineer? The ratio of productivity between the mean and the max engineer. It's quite possible that this grows a lot. Armed with large language models, do generalists increasingly outperform specialists? Large language models are a lot better at fill in the blanks, the micro, than grand strategy, the macro. What does large language model coding feel like in the future? Is it like playing StarCraft? Playing Factorio, playing music? How much of society is bottlenecked by digital knowledge work? So too long didn't read. Where did this leave us? Large language model agent capabilities, Claude and Codex especially, have crossed some kind of threshold of coherence around December 2025 and caused a phase shift in software engineering and closely related. The intelligence part suddenly feels quite a bit ahead of all the rest of it. Integrations, the necessity for new organizational workflows, processes, diffusion more generally. 2026 is going to be a high energy year as the industry metabolizes the new capability. Elon said, sums up the zeitgeist. And Abby replied to that saying, I've been coding for 8 years now, and this is by far the most relatable post I've read lately. My work shifted in the last year so much I almost feel bad about the people who don't use this. Andre said it feels like I'm cheating, which is a very weird feeling to have. It takes a while to unpack. It's because some code that used to be a point of pride and high IQ and knowledge is suddenly free and instant, and it's very disorienting. And someone asked Andre, do you see large language models replacing domain level expertise? Andre said the nearest neighbor really is some kind of a junior engineer. Its ideas about what experiments to run on, for example, NanoChat have been surprisingly bad, but its execution on ideas I've given it have been surprisingly good. Jeremy says, wow, even Karpathy admits he is 80% agentic coding now and only 20% auto-completion or manual. This percentage is only going to increase to the point where we pretty much never write code and only read and review it. Karpathy, do you find yourself accumulating comprehension debt where it's often quite tedious to review all the code and AI has written, so over time you understand less and less of the code in your code base? Any ideas for how to combat this? Andre said, I love the word comprehension debt. I haven't encountered it so far. It's very accurate. It's so very tempting to just move on when the large language model one-shotted something that seems to work okay. Vladimir said, Andre is the type of person who drops a post like this and people actually read it thoroughly till the end. It hurts the ego a bit is the most relatable line here in my opinion. We spent years learning how to code and now we're just project managers for an intern that never sleeps. Andre said facts. And Andre liked Nart's post defining the word slopster, and Andre replied saying slopocalypse, slopster, slopus. There's just so much good stuff here. And Ethan said a 10x engineer can be a one-man army. There could soon be a one-person billion-dollar company. And Andre tagged Peter Steinberger saying, you can do it. And Yuchin replied asking, what happens to the 10x engineer? 10x engineer becomes 100x engineer, simply because they can verify the AI results and they are the best at catching up with all the progress on models and tools. Armed with large language models, do generalists increasingly outperform specialists? Polymath wins. They are better managers of agents. Large language models lower the cost of entering any specific technical or non-technical domain. What does large language model coding feel like in the future? Is it like playing StarCraft, playing Factorio, playing music? All of them. How much of society is bottlenecked by digital knowledge work? The cost of software and services will become too cheap to meter. There will be a physical wall, but will be crashed by robots in the end. And that was Yuchin, who's a co-founder and chief technical officer at Hyperbolic Labs, previously at a company that was acquired by NVIDIA. Yuchin said AI has made writing code cheap. Building products is faster than ever, but does that mean we'll see more successful startups? My answer is no. Human attention is finite, and with declining birth rates, the global attention pool is actually shrinking. Every new app survives by stealing time from another app. This is fundamentally attention reallocation. There's one exception: products that don't serve humans, but serve AI or robots instead. Someone replied saying, less successful startups, but better ones. Now that every idea can easily come into reality, there will be bigger competition for the best ideas. Yuchin said, yeah, competition will get fiercer. AI doesn't make success easier, it just changes how startups fail. Before, we have an idea but couldn't build it since we need a whole team and develop for 12 months. Now, built it, no one wants it. or everyone can copy it instantly. And Gavin asked, when you say products that serve AI, that's infrastructure, is it not? Yuchin said yes, and GPUs, energy, etc. When everyone digs for gold, they come to Nvidia for the shovels. And in response to Andre seeing that these Claude developments makes it feels like he is cheating, Yuchin said, don't feel that way, Andre. We never loved typing every line of code. We loved building cool things. Shakar said, some people do pride themselves in writing good code though. Yuchin said, I used to be one of them. Then I had a big realization. It's not the code quality or the code itself that gives you pride. It's how many people are using it. And the Claude code creator said, I don't even make small edits by hand. He said, pretty much 100% of our code is written by Claude Code and Opus 4.5. At first, this surprised me, said Yuchin. No manual edits at all. AI code can be slop, but it makes sense. Claude Code is a command line interface developer tool. It's easier than code like AI training infrastructure, distributed systems, compilers. Claude Code itself is a strong and high impact product, of course. The really hard code bases are out of distribution in the training data and need constant babysitting. I feel AI probably needs 2 more years to fully conquer those. And Claude announced that your work tools are now interactive in Claude. You can draft Slack messages and visualize ideas as Figma diagrams. So as you can see, Claude integrates with Slack, so it'll send messages for you, and it also integrates with Figma. Yuchin said this is 100 times more useful than ClaudeBot, isn't it? I still don't get why people are buying Apple Mac minis to run ClaudeBot. Signal said it's strange indeed, and Yuchin said those who really know tech here are a minority. And OpenAI is introducing Prism, a free workspace for scientists to write and collaborate on research powered by GPT 5.2. Please proofread the paper starting from the abstract and go line by line. And you can see it's making edits that you can just integrate with one click. You can also turn images into technical diagrams. So there someone is uploading an image and Prism just added it to the document. Yuchin said overleaf is killed. Every new paper should list ChatGPT as a co-author. OpenAI will learn how researchers actually collaborate and turn that into a scientific discovery engine. And didn't Sam say yesterday they screwed up creative writing? So that's some stuff going on today in the world of AI, and I'll see you guys in the next one.